The first thing we need to do is type in the IP address of the ShareBase in a browser. We'll find it on the main page in the Settings section. Here's the Download section from which the MuxMeet application can be downloaded. You have applications for different platforms. Depending on your device, you can download the MuxMeet app for Android, Windows, or Mac. Click on Settings. We'll go to the Advanced settings. The default password is admin. We can see all the settings available on the ShareBase. Let's start with the network settings. Here, the current device's name is displayed, the connection type is also displayed, and the ShareBase's MAC address. Clicking on Start Modifying gives us the option to change the name. It shows us the 3 types of network connections available on the ShareBase: Wireless Direct Mode, Wireless Infrastructure Mode, and finally, LAN Infrastructure Mode. This is important because in addition to selecting the ShareBase's operating mode, we also select which network the dongle will link to. The ShareBase will generate its own Wi-Fi network, and we have the option of granting it internet access from port 1 or 2, or to deactivate internet access. Also, if the Wi-Fi network is hidden, we can select its frequency, channel, and password. Click Submit Changes. We'll have to reconnect the dongle or the dongles to the ShareBase so that they're configured correctly with the new changes. In the second method, the Wireless Infrastructure Mode, the ShareBase can simultaneously connect to a cable network and to a wireless network. You only have to select whether the dongle will link to the Wi-Fi network through the ShareBase or the corporate network via Ethernet. And finally, the LAN Infrastructure Mode. In this option, we'll deactivate the Wi-Fi option in favor of the Ethernet option of the ShareBase. We can enable or disable the DHCP of the ports as needed. With Auto Change Password, you can deactivate or set the time between password changes. Here, we control the connection to the display and audio. We can modify the output resolution of the HDMI, enable the control by CEC, either to the display or to the ShareBase. Select the audio output of the ShareBase, as well as let the output volume. The video quality through AirPlay. We can select the information that will be displayed on the screen when we are sharing content, such as the name and password of the ShareBase, the name of the person sending content, and whether to show the IP address of the ShareBase. And finally, edit the background image of the main menu of the ShareBase. In Moderator Control, we can select whether we want to see the moderator sidebar, as well as edit the size of that menu. We can also select how the multi-view will be displayed when more than one set of content is displayed on screen. And under Buttons, we can see and delete the dongle that we have linked to our ShareBase. Change the date and time manually or automatically, as well as the time zone of your region. We can also select when it should enter auto standby. Here we change the language of the main menu of the screen, or reset the ShareBase to factory default settings. The configuration option file helps us save or load the current settings of the ShareBase. This is very helpful. If we already have a standard configuration that we want to replicate in another ShareBase, or back up our current configuration, we can modify the serial port options either to receive commands or send commands through the same way. Enable or disable Telnet, and establish a time for ShareBase to establish a security level. We can establish certain security criteria divided into levels, such as disabling AirPlay and Chromecast, and other actions can also be disabled or enabled. The security level will be reflected in the main menu. Here we modify the password to access the settings and the number of characters in the password to connect to the ShareBase. For firmware updates, we can upload the firmware from the browser page. And here we can set auto-upgrading the firmware if desired. We can enable the option to download the launcher app in a USB stick automatically when we connect a USB stick directly to the ShareBase. We can have the option to delete the history after each session manually, never or always, and also download both. And finally, in the About device, we can see the information about the device, such as its version of firmware, name, or serial number of the ShareBase.